Hi, y'all. It's Rick here, and welcome to a late edition of Uncommon Communion. Glad you're joining with me this evening. Let us begin in the evening as we begin in the morning or the afternoon by recognizing and realizing and affirming that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of God and each other. So I've been wanting to record this earlier today, but it's been a busy day. I've been on the go. So I didn't get a chance to, but I think it's actually better that I'm recording later because I'm able to add something really important. And that's actually why I'm recording tonight rather than just waiting until tomorrow. You probably saw by now the incredibly important news that the Supreme Court, with a 9-0 unanimous decision, has upheld the ruling in a lower court that the United States, the Trump regime, has to return Kilmar Albrego Garcia. Now, you'll remember he was the Salvadoran who was wrongly deported. The government admitted that he was wrongly deported and sent to this horrible, terrible El Salvadoran prison. So the Supreme Court has said that the Trump regime must return him. Now, a couple of important things to note. They did not, they meaning the Supreme Court, did not set a deadline. Now, you'll remember that the lower court judge did set a deadline that was 1 minute to midnight or 11:59 on Monday, so a few days ago. Supreme Court paused that, and now they've issued this ruling. So I don't know what happens next as far as a deadline. The deadline is important, though, because we are at a critical moment here, y'all. We have heard that the Trump regime has threatened, has bragged about defying court orders. And this is the moment. A marker has been thrown down, a gauntlet has been placed. And the question is now, what will the Trump regime do? And, there's some possibilities here, right? They could return the wrongly sent man, admit the mistake they made, and bring him back home to his family. They could do that. Number two, they could just drag their feet and say, well, we tried and it didn't happen in El Salvador and blah, 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 blah. My guess is that's probably what they're going to do. The third option is that they're going to say no and outwardly defy the Supreme Court. I don't know if we are to that point yet. I know that's probably the discussion they're having right now. The last that I checked as of 10 o'clock here as I record this, I didn't see any quotes from the Trump regime responding to this. So my guess is that they are busily right now as I record this talking about what the next steps are going to be, which of those three options they're going to do. Well, here's the thing, y'all. If they do the first option, which I think is probably going to be difficult, because here's the thing. So apparently this prison, this horrible El Salvadoran prison, no one has ever been released from it. And what that means is not only is that a perfect record that the prison surely wants to keep, it also means that no one has come out of there to be able to freely talk about the experience. So I think that the Salvadoran government, the U.S. Trump regime, are going to do everything they can to not bring this man back. But here's the thing, y'all. If they don't bring him back, whether they drag their feet or they give a lame excuse or just outwardly defy the court, this is a moment where we, the people, are going to need to react. Because if the Trump regime can outwardly deny a court order, we're done for as a republic. We are done for as a nation. We are done for as a democracy. Because, again, at this point right now, co-equal branches of government, Congress has absolutely abdicated their role. So the only thing that is checking the authoritarianism of the Trump regime is the Supreme Court, the courts, right? The judiciary, and of course the Supreme Court. So I wanted to record this tonight to get this message out, to get us to start thinking about this, because I think tomorrow could be a really significant day as far as what happens next. And again, y'all, if Trump outwardly defies this, or just doesn't do this, doesn't bring Mr. Garcia home, then we need to take to the streets. we need to get out there and we need to do things that perhaps this country hasn't seen in a very long time. And I'm talking about civil disobedience here. So that was the first thing I wanted to talk to you about. Second thing is Liberation Day, right? We had this on last week, and we've seen what the market has done and all of that. When I first heard Trump brand this Liberation Day, the first thing I thought about was the relatively recent collection of short stories by George Saunders. I don't know if you're familiar with George Saunders. He's an American writer. He's out of Syracuse, New York. He's on the faculty up at SU. He has been on. He appears on late night shows pretty often. You might have seen him on Colbert or seen him on the Daily Show or one of those late night shows. He's a really interesting person and just a very thoughtful, I think, just a rich, deep person. And his writing, I find, his short stories are amazing. Well, with Liberation Day, in everybody's minds, I decided I would go back and this time listen to that collection of short stories. I had already read it about a year or so ago. This time I'm listening to it. And I just got done with the title story, Liberation Day, which George Saunders himself reads. And he is an excellent reader for the character. It's a first person story. And he just really, I think, embodies this character. And I highly recommend that you check it out. And it is very relevant to what we are talking about right now. I'm not going to give away the conceit or the unique aspect of the story. George Saunders' stories, if you're familiar with them, especially one in his first, his most notable collection. It wasn't his first collection, but 10th of December. There's a longer short story in there about these girls, these figures. And if you've read that story, the name is slipping my mind of the name of that story. But if you've read that story, this story, Liberation Day, kind of has a similar twist to it. What is interesting, though, about this story is there is this twist that has to do with bondage and being imprisoned and being literally chained, and the story of the massacre, the battle at Wounded Knee, Custard's last stand. So Saunders masterfully weaves these two different themes together in a very compelling and I think moving story. So again, as Liberation Day and all of this talk still floats around, I highly recommend Liberation Day, the collection, and also especially the short story. I want to close as we think about liberation to share with you a few words from Saint Archbishop Oscar Romero from El Salvador. Now, you perhaps might be familiar with liberation theology, which is a way of understanding, way of interpreting the gospel. And Gustavo Gutierrez, who passed away not that long ago, really was one of the main writers, the main theologians, the main thinkers. And I just pulled this book off my shelf. I actually took a class with him in graduate school. And so this book is signed, which is just remarkable. But I read to you from one of the great leaders who was very inspired by Gustavo Gutierrez. And I think these two were in dialogue and in communication with each other. And that is Archbishop Oscar Romero. So I want to close with these words that I think unite many themes that the Substack Uncommon Communion is about, what we are looking at right now and needing to stand up to the Trump regime, thinking about the cross and Holy Week and the Triduum, which begins a week from today. A week from today is Holy Thursday. And I think this quote, this prayer, this reflection draws these together. So we close with these words from Archbishop Oscar Romero. He says, "The liberation that the church awaits is a cosmic liberation. The church feels that all of nature is moaning under the weight of sin. What beautiful coffee fields, what beautiful cane fields, what beautiful cotton fields, what farms. God has given us all this. How beautiful nature is. But when we see her moan under oppression, under wrongdoing, under injustice, under abuse, then the church aches and awaits a liberation that is not only one of material well-being, but rather one of the power of God, that will free nature from the sinful hands of humankind, so that together with the redeemed humans, it will sing of happiness in the liberator God. So when we talk about Liberation Day, we talk about what comes through the cross, which is Easter, which is the resurrection. And as Gutierrez reminds us, as Romero reminds us, as Father Ed, who is the planetary pilgrim sort of guru of mine, reminds us, is that it is about a salvation, a liberation, a freedom for all of creation. So we wait and we watch and we prepare to see what comes next with this pivotal Supreme Court ruling. Well, I hope you have a great rest of the evening. I have a post to write for tomorrow, and I need to jump on that now. Thank you for joining with me for this brief message. Blessing and good. Be well.